New Minnesota Vikings general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah fed the local media jackals on Tuesday as Vikings veterans started reporting to TCO Performance Center Bar and Grill. First practice of this year's, we talk about practice, this year's training camp goes down tomorrow. And with these GM introductory pre-training camp press conferences, it's always the same thing. Well, we feel really good about our team. We feel like we can win games and win a championship. I really love and respect our head coach, the guy that I hired. Yeah, because my ass is on the line. But either way, I love hearing Kwesi talk. So let's go through a couple things that he said and blah, blah, blah. So first up, Will Raggett, Sports Illustrated. Vikings GM Kwesi is here at the first media availability of training camp. He's excited to see fans at practice starting this weekend. We have a special group of fans, only fans, and we really think they're going to like this team. Well, I hope so. I hope so, man, because it's not like we're all namby-pamby just pulling a team out of a hat. It's like, well, who we're going to cheer for this year? No, we bleed. We bleed purple, man. And so, yeah, it's up to him to bring a championship finally to this deserted, desolate, just complete barren wasteland of championship silverware. There you go. Will Raggett continues. Kwesi says it's been exciting walking around the building and seeing players again. Hopefully someone says hi to Brian O'Neill this time. Quote, there were a lot of guys who were on a personal mission this summer, a lot of guys who really bought into the plans we had for them. We can't wait to see them out on the field, end quote. And the whole thing about the Vikings this offseason is even after mandatory minicamp, if you followed some of the players on social media, you saw a lot of them working out together. You saw a lot of them putting in that grind. You saw a lot of them at TCO Performance Center just putting in work, which they're allowed to do. So love to see it. I think that this team has a focus, has a direction, and they feel like they can win out of the gate with the new regime. So that's what's really exciting about this training camp and this season coming up. Chris Thompson, Pioneer Press. Kwesi on Kevin O'Connell starting his first training camp as head coach. He's been ready for this for a long time. I'm excited to see him fulfill his dream. And yes, even though Kevin O'Connell is relatively young for a head coach, 36 years old, you saw him as the de facto assistant head coach, OC of the Rams over the last couple of years. I saw him in Washington as the play-calling offensive coordinator, working with Jay Gruden, Washington staff. Sean McVay was there for a hot second as well. Plus going back to his time with the Browns as quarterbacks coach with Mike Pettin, who's now on staff with the Vikings, and also during his time as a quarterback. I mean, this is a guy who has spent a lot of time in training camp with teams and just been around greatness. He's been around Belichick and McVay, etc. So yeah, he's a guy that's absorbed a lot of knowledge about how to run a team, about how to not run a team for sure. And I think that he is ready to go. Then Will Raggett, Adofo-Mensah says the Vikings have set themselves up to get in the dance. Make a little love, get down tonight, get into the dance, be one of the final teams standing. We feel good about where we are rooster-wise and the flexibility we have. Because, of course, they feel good about where they are roster-wise because you assembled it, man. That's right. And I do like that the Vikings do have multiple options along the offensive line, whether it's Chris Reed or Jesse Davis or Wyatt Davis or Ed Ingram or Austin Schlottman, who they brought in 4 of those 5 guys. Wyatt Davis they inherited. Also, cornerback-wise, they retained Patrick Peterson. They drafted Andrew Booth Jr. and Caleb Evans. They brought in Nate Hairston and Sean Don Sullivan. So the Vikings, at major positions of need, do have multiple options, and I think that's something that's been really smart about Kwesi. Now, bringing in Sean Byer versus Ndamukong Suh, I don't know. I don't know, man. But he is right. Get into the dance, and weird things can happen, especially since the Vikings are looking to stay fresh in training camp and into the season and into the fourth quarter and into the playoffs. I think that this team has a chance to do something really special this year. Then Thompson. Kwesi said he hasn't gotten any information yet from the medical people on whether any of the veterans reporting today will start on the physically unable to perform list. So now this is a little bit of a misnomer because Amir Smith-Marset as well as tight end Irv Smith, 2 players coming off of injury. ISM was in a walking boot. Irv Smith coming off that meniscus in his knee, which they took it very slowly with him during offseason work. They reported on Sunday, and they apparently have cleared a physically unable to perform list because they only put Blake Prohl as well as linebacker Ryan Connolly on there. So as of right now, ISM and Irv Smith aren't on the list. Now they could go on at any point before practice formally starts, but It's a good sign. It's an absolute good sign because we want both of those guys to contribute right away. And then hopefully there aren't any surprises with some of these other veterans today, because that's what happens on reporting day. You get your gear. Well, you got most of your gear from offseason anyway. You do medical checks, make sure that everyone's good to go, and then go from there. And then lastly, Kwesi, when asked about keeping his eyes on what Green Bay is doing, the first path to getting into the dance, that dance is winning your division. And I understand the low-hanging fruit of other fan bases when you talk about their teams, like, oh, living rent-free in your head. Well, honestly, if you're not talking about the main rival in your division, or if you're not aware of them, like, it would piss me off more if Kwesi's like, oh, wow, who cares about the Pack? No. That's exactly what needs to happen, because the Packers allegedly have won the division a number of times the last couple of years. They allegedly have the 2-time reigning defending NFL MVP, and you do have to look at them as public enemy number one as of right now, because the Bears are going to go 0-17. The Lions are a couple years away, even though I think that they're going to be super feisty this year. And Kwesi. Remember, Kwesi is the one who did the deal with the Lions. He's the one who did the draft deal with the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers. Christian Watson starting out the year on the pup, by the way. So we'll see. I mean, absolutely. I understand that it's in vogue to say, like, well, we just worry about who's on our schedule one game at a time. Baloney. Worry about your rivals. You got to win the division. It's going to make things easier to get into the dance, because guess what? At minimum, you get to host a playoff game, and then everything comes through Minnesota. Get the 1 seed, then everything comes through Minnesota. Home field advantage. That's right, man. But that's it. Kwesi's pre-training camp press conference, feeding the local media jackals. Let us know your thoughts, on his thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.